Welcome to BeachinSurfTV. My name's Clint Harris and we're here to talk about boards, fins and everything else you use to get your froth on in the surf. Today we're talking about the Rusty Buckshot, which is a bit of an in-between model from Rusty. It's not quite a double overhead, let's say high performance model, but it's definitely not a summer model either. It's got some features that kind of mash together nice to fit just before what I'd call a true performance board. I got to speak to Ado this morning from Rusty in Australia here about this board because I'm thinking about ordering one myself. I really liked some of the features I was seeing in this board, and it really fitted what is coming up for me because I'm traveling to Costa Rica and Panama and some other places that are a bit more demanding, and I wanted something that I'm going to be able to surf anything to 2 feet if I'm going to be on the west coast of USA, because I will be there for a bit, but also wanted something that was going to be surfing, let's say 4 foot or even 5 foot in Costa Rica or Panama, where the surf's going to be a bit more powerful and I've got a board that's going to be able to handle it. But I didn't want to go for something that was super refined, like let's say the Kerrosover out of Rusty. Those boards are carrying a little less foam, and for me, being at 90 kilos, I wanted something that did have a bit more float and it was a bit more accessible as a performance board, and I really felt like this represented that. So when I look at some of the features of this board, I really felt that it was going to suit surf anywhere from 2 foot up to 6 foot. And the reason being is there's a bit of a balanced mashup of features on the board that allow you to have some of the benefits of extra speed, i.e. nose volume, slightly relaxed entry rocker, but then for more solid surf where you're trying to get good release off the top and really accelerated maneuvers out of your maneuvers, there's good tail lift there. So I really liked some of the features that we'll run into. It's a really balanced kind of board where you're not having to pull out the high performance super refined model for your good surf, but then you've got something that's also going to be a high performance model of sorts for the smaller conditions and surf a lot better than some of those super flat boards that are really pigeonholed towards those smaller conditions that you see a lot of in the market at the moment. So jumping into the first thing that I really liked about this board, you've got a slightly relaxed rocker, you've got a little bit more volume under your chest there, so you're getting some extra speed, you're getting some early entrance into the wave, which is just going to be great, especially if it's smaller, but then there's always advantages in getting into a wave earlier if there's a bit more size to it. And the next feature that really I wanted to focus in on was the other end of the rocker, your tail lift. So you've got, as we said, a slightly flatter rocker there, a little bit more area in the nose, but you've got this tail lift. So you're getting extra speed from the start of the nose, but because you've got extra tail lift, it really loosens up the board. And so what this kind of represents to me is if you imagine yourself getting into the wave a little bit earlier, you've got a little bit more speed, but then when you're trying to actually drive off the bottom and connect off the top, with a looser tail, you're really able to get it super loose off the top with a lot of extra speed and flow into your next maneuver. This is great in Australian conditions because you've got so many waves out there where you're getting one good maneuver and the next maneuver is usually on a weaker section of the wave. So if you imagine that you've got a little bit of extra speed and you're escaping that first critical maneuver a bit faster, I feel like you're going to get some advantages for that second maneuver to make it a bit more worthwhile and get a bit more bang out of your buck out of a small wave. But then if you go to somewhere, let's say like a reef break, Kuta in Bali, and you've got a longer wave and you are connecting multiple maneuvers, with having that looseness in the tail and that extra bit of speed on, let's say, a 3 to 4 foot wave, you're going to be able to really maximize some of the extra speed and looseness from that tail, which I think is just going to be advantageous for your next maneuver that you're lining up, not just thinking about the first maneuver. The last feature that I wanted to talk about on this board was the concave. So you've got a decent single concave starting nice and early on the board, and it finishes with just an ever so slight double concave down the tail of the board, and this is purely for a release. You could call it even a flat kind of feel to the end of the tail there, and it's purely just to make sure the board's releasing fine off the top of the wave, and I think it's a well balanced approach to the concave of this board. So in summary, when we look at this board, I think it's a pretty awesome all-rounder. You've got a board that's going to surf good in 2 foot right up to 5 foot, and it's got little different reasons why that's going to work quite well. I think it's really exciting the mashup of having looseness with extra speed in still a traditional kind of outline of the board. I think it's something really worth considering as an all-rounder board to choose, something I'm going to travel with overseas. And after having a closer look at it, I think it's just a really solid all-round piece that Rusty's pulled off with this one. So come in store, check it out. Would love to talk about this one. Can't wait to own one myself. Thanks.